This is a short story about Tony, who lives in a tiny house beside the ocean. It's on Maori land, which is indigenous land here in New Zealand, and he's grown up as a European within the Maori culture here. He's been through divorce and great wealth and losing all his money, and it was his conscious decision to move into a tiny house. And I'd like to take you on that journey with me now.
Yeah, whoa!
So I just go?
Yeah.
All right, mate. On your way.
Holy mac! Oh, wow! It's like another universe.
It slows down.
Seriously?
Clever. It just
Amazing. So if the passenger puts a safety belt on, does it make any
doesn't matter.
difference?
No. It's just the driver.
Yeah. Wow, that's a long time. The wind off the ocean.
Office better, and then we can cool it down a little bit.
Don't have it too strong, so you know I was sick,
Yeah.
and that was quite a blow.
hard.
Having the brain tumour, then the surgery, and having 3 years of basically sitting in a lazy boy, wondering if I was ever going to get better.
Yeah.
That took a toll on my family financially, and strained the relationship between my wife and I, and we've now divorced.
Yeah.
So I left, started with nothing, absolutely nothing, because I didn't want the house to sell at that time because the kids were still going to school, and I didn't want to disrupt that. So I hired a little cabin, and my cousin around the beach there, I stayed on the beach opposite his place, so I used his, he let me use his, kitchen and toilet facilities and what have you.
And the toilet was really dirty, I remember that.
Yeah,
Man's toilet.
It was, but at the end of the day, you got 4 blokes. It is what it is. And then I was there for a year, and I just decided, well, I need to start thinking about next moves. And I'd fallen in love with watching YouTube videos of tiny houses and people living in a tiny house. And being in my mid-50s, or just after my mid-50s at time, I didn't really want to have a big mortgage. And we had to remortgage when I got sick, because there was a bit of equity in the house, but not a whole lot. So I thought, well, I'm gonna build a tiny house, and I was lucky. you know, there's always been this land here in Plympton, and this is where all my family on my mother's side have grown up, and I grew up. This is where I grew up until I was in my middle to late teens. You know, I've started my veggie garden, I've started a herb garden, and I'm going to increase my garden space and grow some more veggies, and I think it's just cool to grow your own food.
Yeah, it is. I know.
You certainly know that. You know? I built the outdoor kitchen for my use and my family's use, but also for other whānau of ours that come and camp on this ground. Encourage them to come and use it, and really want to have that feeling what I grew up on. I grew up on a marae, you know, so family, and enjoy yourself and what have you. My philosophy in life now is just to try and live a more chilled out life. Hence the hot tub behind me.
I know, that's
wood burner firing away at the moment. You do have to keep it running, and from cold it takes about 4 hours.
Yeah.
But the next day, if you want to do it again, it's only, you know, less than 2 hours. So.
Actually, how have you adapted to living in a small space, and what are you learning?
I had to learn quite quickly that off-grid living means a whole lot of things that you take for granted when you're not off-grid.
Totally. God.
So very quickly I ordered a fireplace, but found out that even though I thought I was early ordering in March, that it didn't arrive till the end of May. It takes 7 minutes to vacuum the house. I had a sort of a month of going to bed early and keeping warm by staying under the blankets, but then once the fireplace arrived, it was great. So I thought I'm going to keep an electric oven and I'll just run it off the generator, so that's what I do.
Lock up everything, including your generator.
Just for security. By running the generator, run the house the whole day when it's raining or so cold that you're getting no solar, it's expensive. You know, I was spending $120 a week for a good 6 weeks in a row. And then
that's expensive, isn't it?
On and off throughout winter.
Yeah.
It was on more than it was off, sort of thing. So my children, so once I got here and got settled down, one of the pleasant surprises I had is I started to see my kids more often than I did when I was in Paraparaumu, and I was 5 minutes away from them. So, you know, I see my oldest daughter, I see her probably 2 or 3 times a month on the weekend. She comes and does the gardens, and James spent lots of time here helping me build the outside kitchen and off the table. Outside kitchen and all the physical things that I was still struggling with. So living off grid, you've just got to be prepared. You know, the things that are essential, and you might think you're going to save a lot of money, but if you're not prepared, it's going to cost you a lot of money. You know, so it's essential to have a generator, because there's always likely that you're going to have some sort of breakdown with your solar power or whatever. I mean, I'm going to have 2 sources of natural power, which I'll be very proud of when it's installed. But I think, you know, the total investment to be off grid for me is probably between an extra 20 and 30 grand.
Amazing.
But that's to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
If I was retired, I probably wouldn't need as much as I've got, because if you've got a fireplace, you need enough power to start your gas if you're on gas, or you need open fire to just cook on open fire and stuff like that. So you can do it cheaper, but I'm not here camping, I'm living. You know,
yeah, that's true.
You know, I'm not here camping out, as much as people probably think that's quite cool. You know, there's still a chance that one day I'll be in a position where I'll buy my own land, and my situation might change then. But living in the here and now, if that doesn't happen, this is not a bad place
It's good
to be.
I think you've made it really good too. So what about your ideas for the future? Let's say 5 years down the road, you'll be 65.
So yeah, I'm toying with plans of what I'll do when I'm 65. I'll probably still have my digital marketing business, but I'm hoping if my kids aren't looking after it, I'll either sell it or I'll have someone else who looks after it. I don't want to be sitting in a seat all day doing digital jobs.
So one last question. What would be your, if you said in 250 words, how you would like to see yourself in the future in 5 years' time when you're 65?
Self-sufficient with a pretty good bank balance too, for those extra emergencies, you know, and also to help out the children. When I leave the planet, I want to leave with money for them. I'm conscious of the costs of living now, and they're all not sure how they're ever going to buy houses and those sorts of things. So to be able to help them out, even if it's in a small way, is something I want to do. But also I want to live life as much as I can and enjoy it as much as I can, you know. I'm on a real health kick at the moment to get myself as healthy as I can to prepare me for those older years, so I can enjoy life and
sounds good.
What have you, not become a burden.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope when I do clock out, it's nice and quick and
easy
and
relatively easy.
They move me out and one of my kids can move in, you know.
Sounds good.
So this land that we're on is my great-grandmother's, Camellia Violet Mullins land. So she was one of the first Pākehā to be adopted by Māori. So we're all Ngāti Tō, descendants of her, and pretty much on my maternal side, which, if you understand Māori, is very, very important. The maternal side, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother and I, and the rest of my sister and brothers, we've all been brought up here. We've all lived here all around the bay, in the main bay. But this land was a quarry site for quite some time. So I've grown up in a very, very Māori-oriented environment. I wondered, I used to work in Wellington. I knew I was a bit different from some of the other people in terms of my values.
Actually, that's quite cool. It's really different too. So you grew up in another culture within this culture.
Yeah, and it wasn't
culture.
Really noticeable at all until I was working, and it also made me appreciate the Māori culture that I was brought up within, and my uncles and my cousins, and the love and the support that you get. I mean, I really feel so lucky and really appreciate that I was brought up here. It just, I'm sure lots of people like that. I'm sure there's people in Scotland that feel the same about where they live and what have you. But so I was brought up with some very core values, which when I was a teenager I probably didn't live to them as much as you should, but I've appreciated them a lot more as I got older and had kids and really got into life. And so I'm connected to the place. I feel connected to the place. It's one of the reasons I've been able to get through what I've been through and get started and get on with life. So the grounding and the support and knowing that it's always there is very, very helpful and very special.